On Biz Today, we always look for successful entrepreneurs to bring into studio so that we can inspire your entrepreneurial journey and give you something to learn about. Today we have one such entrepreneur in studio. Ebrahim Patel is a proudly South African entrepreneur with a passion for business. He is the CEO of Magellan Investment Management, which specializes in private management, venture transactions, business equity funding, facilities management, and strategic advisory. As the current national president of the Minara Chamber of Commerce, Ebrahim has performed an executive role across a number of industry bodies, including Non-Aligned Movement Business Council, the KZN Economic Council, International Advisory Panel of the World Islamic Economic Forum, and is currently on the advisory board of the UKZN Extended Learning Program. A business owner and leader of note, we welcome Ebrahim onto Biz Today. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Biz Today, Ebrahim. I'm so glad you accepted our invitation to be on the show.
Shukran, I'm actually pleased to be on your show.
Cool, thank you. So, I always love speaking to people who have a zest for life and a sort of vision to push the human race forward, as it were. And I think you would qualify in all those respects.
Oh, thank you, I didn't know I did that.
Well, with your extensive CV and history, which I know you're going to talk to us a bit more about in the course of the interview, I like to get people who've accomplished sometimes what other people may think almost impossible. I mean, there are various types of entrepreneurs who achieve an array of different activities or represent some kind of leadership across any kind of opportunity or initiative they get. So I would like to explore that a bit more, and I would also like our audience and our viewers to get a sense of what it means to be a real entrepreneur in the world, because the world is sometimes a hard place and it will chew you and spit you out, but you got to get back up. So to kick off, can you tell us or give us a brief background into your history, family, schooling, education? What was that like?
Exciting, because I lived in a time that was just at the tail end of apartheid. Yeah. And so we saw what our parents had gone through, but we also saw a better future that was coming about. And as part of schooling, we went through the similar kind of challenges that our parents went through. And of course, today, schooling is a lot different. It's a lot more energetic. It's a lot more modern. But back in our day, it was not so exciting. So we went to school. Career paths were limited. There were no such fantastic things as technology. And I remember when I was in school, I loved computers. And I told the form teacher I want to open up a computer club. And she says, what is a computer club? No, you cannot have these clubs in the school. So we wanted a computer club because back in that day, you might not remember, but Atari and Commodore 64 were the top-ranging computers that had come out.
I do remember those actually. So I can imagine that was far beyond what we imagine right now.
It was. I mean, think about it. The power that we have in our mobile phones today is more than the power that the computer that NASA used to launch the first moon exploration rocket. Right. So the way computing has moved. So back in those days, there wasn't much career paths that we could really think about. And so most of us were encouraged to take traditional career paths, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become an accountant. Yeah. And I thought, that's a bit limiting, isn't it? I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to do computer sciences. And that was my passion, was computers, because it was new. It was something that no one had done before. It was just the start of home computing as well. So when we went to university and I registered for computer sciences, people thought to me, you're a bit crazy doing computer sciences. Why don't you do medicine or accounting or become a lawyer? Normal people would do that.
Normal people?
Normal people back in those days would do that. And remember, computers were not something that anyone had at home.
That's right.
It only belonged in either a bank or an insurance company or in the university comp science lab. That's where computers belonged. And that's where we came out of.
22, you were the youngest person, I think, in the country, if I'm right in saying, to achieve an advanced qualification in property for commercial deals. Is that right in saying?
Well, I was the youngest qualified commercial property practitioner in the country.
What made you choose that particular career path? Computer science, property? I know those are successful options.
Necessity. What happened was I completed my computer science studies and went to look for a job.
Yeah.
Like everyone would do. And it turned out that I wasn't the right color. So it was reserved because it wasn't a huge industry at that time. It was mainly in the corporate environment, and it was particularly reserved for whites. So I had no option but then to look for another career path or another job. And I ended up at a property company as a junior consultant.
Right.
And I found it interesting. I found the fact that you're dealing with buildings and title deeds and all this legal jargon that was coming into it, and you had to have a bit of smattering of law and accounting, and you had to have a good brain around it.
That's
And I
right.
enjoyed it. And so I decided to do this program called Advanced Property Practitioner, and became the youngest in the country at that time. It was exciting. It led me up my career path.
So I asked these questions so to build your history of being an entrepreneur, the journey of being an entrepreneur. I want our viewers to understand how sometimes people don't think about being an entrepreneur in the first moment of having a career or a job, but how your experiences can shape your thinking. And that then brings me back to, you've done a lot of work and traveled extensively internationally. You've headed up, I think it was with Gold Reef Towers Development and another international hotel group, doing quite a bit of work for them, leading projects on their side. How did this help shape your experience as an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneurship is a state of mind. Whether you become a professional, or you're working as an employee, or you're starting up your business, entrepreneurship is a state of mind. You can be an entrepreneur in your job. You can be an entrepreneur in your profession, and you can be an entrepreneur in your business. It's all about the way you look at things. So entrepreneurship is not a new concept. It's actually something that we've had in our genes for many years, but we've really never exercised it properly. So when I look, and you asked me the question about Gold Reef Towers, it was an amazing experience for me. I was still quite young at that time, and this was a huge development that was taking place in Johannesburg. And the chairman of the board, we met once, and I proposed a particular program for him, and he liked it. And I was then appointed CEO of the company. So quite a large development that we were doing. And it involved international financiers, local financiers, local construction companies, and the amount of thinking that had to be done behind the scenes required an entrepreneurial type of thinking. You had to be quick in what you were doing. You had to be agile. You had to be able to change track anywhere along the way. And if you apply the same kind of staid way of thinking, you remain bogged down.
So it's almost like, if I think about this very basically, it was an MBA on the go almost.
Well, it was.
I suppose we also have to understand how we can find a Zen balance in that, so that we're not completely immersed in that craziness of the World Wide Web or the Internet of Things.
Well, it requires a discipline. Earlier on we were chatting and you spoke about discipline and focus. It does require discipline and focus. You have to, within that madness of the business, take time off from the business as well, and say you need a particular moment in time, whether it's 1 hour in the day, whether it's a day in the week, or whether it's a week in a month. Take time off and you spend that with family. That's the balance you require as well.
Thank you. I think we've taken quite a few lessons away, and the viewers, I'm sure, have done that. Now, before we wrap up our interview, you're currently the president of the Minara Chamber of Commerce, and I know that you have a particular interest in youth entrepreneurship. What plans does the chamber have to boost and build this focus?
Well, we run a number of exciting programs. And the one thing I've learned out of dealing with the younger generation, with the youth, is you can't tell them what to do. You have to listen to them. We have to have the ability to listen to the younger generation, because they have the solutions for today's problems. The older generation had solutions to the older problems. They had solutions to their problems. Today's generation has the solutions to today's problems, because they understand the environment that we operate in. And so our focus of entrepreneurship is how do we capacitate young entrepreneurs, people just starting off in business, give them the experience of an older generation, almost a mentorship, but not a formal mentorship, a life experience mentorship. So mentorship programs are great, but mentorship programs are formal as well. What we like to do is share life experiences. A successful business person partners with some young people, shares an idea with them, teaches them a little about business. I tell everyone, I learned how to manage a business by going to university. I learned how to do business from my father, who never went to university.
That's right.
So if we share those experiences with the younger generation, we give them the wisdom of the experiences that we've had in life, and that gives them the capacity to take over and to build their own businesses and their own platforms. And so Minara will be focusing a lot on what we call a young leader discussion. So it's an experience. We've had a few people that we've had to the programs. We'll be focusing on entrepreneurship programs as well, formal training programs where we'll put a group of entrepreneurs through a training program. At the end of it, they'll be able to pitch, win a prize, which they can plow back into their businesses as well. So it's a sort of a startup capital. One of the ideas that we are concentrating on this year is a full pitching session where a business person or an entrepreneur who has an idea will pitch to a group of investors and get an investment for their business.
That's going to be pretty cool. Yeah. So an actual Dragon's Den or Shark Tank going on at the Minara.
Well, Dragon's Den is quite glorified. We're talking about being in the dragon with real business people that you want to convince that should invest into your business.
I'm really looking forward to that because I can tell the viewers I'm a member of the Minara Chamber of Commerce. I have been to many functions. I work as closely as I can with the organization, and there's been some exciting initiatives for young people. So well done on,
thank you.
I think, pushing and just cultivating that spirit of entrepreneurship among young people. We need it even more so in our current economy. Finally, before you leave us, why do you think family is so important to an entrepreneur? Just some words of advice for our young entrepreneurs.
It's your anchor. The family is the anchor. Whatever happens in your business, the storms that you face in the business, the challenges that you face in the business, you know you can go home every day and you'd have the smiling face of your family, your kids, you know, that passion that they show you. When I walk in at home, my son is standing at the door and he runs up and he grabs me and he gives me a hug. And whatever problems I've had for the day, just fall away. It's just that spirit that you get out of them. And so family is really important.
Thank you so much, Ebrahim, for joining us on Biz Today. I think we've taken away many invaluable lessons. And I hope that in the future you're able to come back and share more of the exciting journeys you've made around the world, and also the progress of the Minara Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, and I wish you more success with your programs.
Thank you so much. That was our Entrepreneur of the Week, Ebrahim Patel, who is the CEO and also the President of the Minara Chamber of Commerce. When we come back, we've got Gordon Dinner, Director of Business Management Services. He'll be chatting with us about keeping good financial statements, so management accounts for the month. Stay tuned.